Hello and welcome to the Tea Party Howdy channel for a review of at least the first 3 episodes of Reservation Dogs. So, what is Reservation Dogs? It is a show on FX. It is a show, it's a half-an-hour comedy show about young teenagers on the Indian Reservation in Oklahoma. In the movie, in the TV show, not in real life, of course. It's in Canada in real life. And it is about just a bunch of ruffian kids that got no hope or faith or anything, and they want to be all cool like that and be like little gang members and stuff. But they're not very good at it. But they're also not very bad at it. So that's how the comedy plays out. Okay, so let's see. If you've seen the movie Smoke Signals, then there are a lot of homages, callbacks, flashes, whatever, to that movie. The opening of the first episode, which is where this still shot is from, is very much reminiscent of Smoke Signals. I don't know if that was an accident or not, but there's a bunch of other stuff that definitely keeps pulling toward that direction. It's on FX, it's on cable, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but it's got way too much cussing. There's too much cussing in TV, there's too much cussing in music, there's just too much cussing everywhere. The idea that people should be allowed to cuss, sure, but time and a place, people, time and a place, and it's just out of control right now. And yeah, so if you believe in the concept of broken windows theory for crime, that if you let the little stuff go, then that tells everybody that there are no standards and you can do the big stuff and then crime goes out of whack, I'm going to put cussing in that category too. Do I cuss? Yeah, when I ride roller coasters, then good lord, my mouth is, yeah. But time and a place. So, yes, there's too much cussing on the show. It's supposed to take place in Oklahoma on a reservation. Pretty sure it's Canada. The casting is a mix of Indians from all over the Americas. What are you going to do? You know, this is a time where you have people throwing a hissy fit that a white person plays a Mexican, or a Mexican plays a white person, or a black person plays a redhead. Whatever the case may be, you get all this fussing. But when it comes to Asians and American Indians, for some reason you can just cast them up any direction you want. Nobody seems to throw a hissy fit. As far as I'm concerned, hey, work is work, and I'm glad to see anybody getting the job as long as they look the part. When you have people that do not look the part, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to act a little harder. Okay, next, okay, so in the comedy thing, they have this one ghost warrior appearing, and he is so over the top stupid in his comedy, and I've debated in my head a lot in preparing for this review, is it the actor's fault or is it the script's fault? And I hate to do this, but I'm going to come down with the fact that it's the actor. The actor just overplays the goofballness it doesn't, no. And then he always follows it up with a really serious thing. It's like, that's fine, but just, he's too goofy. It's just YouTube style goofy. Alright, so anyways, there's him. So you do have the whole blending of modern culture and the traditional Indian culture a lot, where they refer to it, because this is actually really realistic in the Indian community. It's like, how much do we connect to our roots and how much do we live in the current world? And, you know, I'd say they have that debate, at least in America, more than any other American, because the main concept of the American Indian is stuck in 1600s to the mid 1800s. When you see them wearing their regal wear and things like that from the different tribes, it's circa 1820, 1850, and there's, in America, they're the only ones that do that. Now, you can go to China and see that, you can go to Japan and see that, but it's reserved for very small, specific events where those kind of things happen. So it's a struggle for the American Indians and the way they handle that. And so, yeah, anyways, that's reflected in the show too. The character, what do you call it? The character arcs are, well, I've only seen the first 3 episodes because that's all that's aired, and the character arcs are really, they're intense. They're good. I mean, you really, the writing for the show it's too many cuss words and really lopsided humor, but the characters are very individualistic and they're very thought out. Even in the first episode, they introduce you to this whole backstory that they haven't got into yet by episode 3, but they laid it out. So when they set up the premise of the show, unless I'm reading it wrong, they really do have a apparently a very foundational element for each one of the characters, and it gives you something to seriously invest in because they are also different, and it does come across as pretty darn real in the essence of that you can get into that character being that one thing. They're not cookie cutter. None of them. None of the people on the show are cookie cutter. Oh, what else do we have? And it does take place mostly, like, ever since Roseanne, mostly in serial format where, you have to watch the episode before to get this one. But it's not intensely like that. There's definitely some flexibility there where if you didn't see the first 2 episodes, it's not going to screw you up heavily in the 3rd episode. But there is a continuing storyline in them. But not real. It's, like I say, you can watch one and miss the other ones and it doesn't really mess you up. I mean, there's a whole plot in the 2nd episode that is barely mentioned in the 3rd episode, so there's that element. And let's see what else we have here. The humor, as I mentioned earlier, is really weird. It's funny in certain parts for sure, and it's so much like Smoke Signals, even though it's not written by the same guy, because I looked to see. It's not like Smoke Signals in the writing, but they borrowed so much, so it's very offbeat humor, and it works. I like it. And then, so episode 3 came on, and Gary Farmer's in it, and once again, if you've seen Smoke Signals, Gary Farmer was the guy that played the dad on that one, and the line that sticks with me from that is like, nobody. You have to watch the movie to get that line. And I love Gary Farmer. He's not as good as Graham Greene, but he's right next to him. And so so delightful to see him on there. I'm like, wow, was that Graham Greene? Not Graham Greene. Is that Gary Farmer? It was Gary Farmer. I don't know if he's really that old or if they just made him look that old, but it's been 20 years since Smoke Signals came out, and I've only seen him in a few things since. And I even seen on Defunct Land that he was on a preschool show that was shot up in Canada and played some goofy neighbor up there, where he was just playing a regular role. He wasn't playing the role of an Indian like so many of them get stuck doing. And I do say that, get stuck doing. It's like, they're allowed to play other roles too, right? Whatever. But if you're a Gary Farmer fan, you're gonna love episode 3. It's fun. And if you are not a Gary Farmer fan, when you watch it, you might become one. Okay, so I guess that's about it. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. I can't remember what it was. I didn't write it down. That's bugging me. Oh, now I remember. I've been begging for years for something to show American Indians. Now, granted, these are mostly Canadian Indians, but that's okay. And to finally have it arrive on FX and in this weird format, how do I feel about that? Well, I'm darned excited to finally have some Indians being represented in reality again, not in reality, in fiction, in the media again, somewhere, so that they're not just completely erased. So very, very excited about that. Now, is this the show that's going to make me go, oh, this is the Dances with Wolves for the 21st century? No. Is it the Smoke Signals revival? No, but it's trying to be, and I kind of appreciate that. So, is it a worthy effort? It's a very worthy effort. If for nothing else, the characterizations are worth watching for and investing. And now, I will mention this because I'm going to start watching season 3 of Titans soon, and I've never done a review on that one, but that show is just over the top cussing, and considering they're supposed to be heroes, I'm like, does nobody see the disconnect here with having all these heroes with unbelievable potty mouths? Apparently not. Whereas if you go to the boys, they have a lot of bad language, but nothing compared to the Titans. And the boys is supposed to be very much adult-oriented, whereas Titans is actually aiming for the teen audience, so again, time and a place, people, time and a place. And so, am I going to keep watching Reservation Dogs? Oh, you better believe it. And I hope it stays as good as it is. And if it gets better, I'm okay with that too. But it's the ending of episode 3. I'm not going to do spoilers. I don't do that. But the ending of episode 3 was just like, wow, very nicely done. And it warms your heart, and it feels so real for fictional. And I'm not saying this show is like spot on of what it's like at all. But I'm just going to... The characters, you like watching them unfold, and you like seeing how they react, and you gotta watch episode 3. Episode 1 is good, episode 2 is fine. Episode 3 is so far the best out of the lot. It's really good. Okay, that's all I got for Reservation Dogs. If you haven't seen it, it's on FX. If you are hungry for American Indian shows, this is what we're getting. And it's a comedy. It's less than a half an hour each episode, and yeah, I recommend it. If I was going to do it out of stars, okay, if I wasn't so freaking biased about the American Indian thing, how would I feel about it? I would say I wouldn't watch it unless I was that, because I don't watch dramas unless they're sci-fi. And it's like you said, it was a comedy. Yeah, it's kind of in between there. So would I watch it? Probably not. But it is, and I am biased, so there you go. That doesn't mean you won't like it. I think you might like it just as well. So there you go. We will see you in the future. Probably do a few more reviews since I watched a bunch of stuff over the weekend. As I said before to my loyal viewers that stick around to the end, I'm working like crazy. Well, not anymore. Not anymore at all. So yeah, in between looking for a job, I've been spending time catching up on shows. Way too much time. So anyways, that's it. Talk to you later. See you in the future.